Welcome, dear Thriver to Thriver TV, where you learn not just how to survive narcissistic abuse, but how to thrive from it. Today's episode is about how painful it is to miss the good times with a narcissist. And lots of you report this, and how it keeps you feeling really stuck and it stunts your ability to be able to live again and get on with your life. We're also going to talk today about how to break free from these crippling feelings. And today I want to share my story and my friend Jane's story, and how we not just escape the agony of missing the good times, but how we were able to become more joyous and expanded in life than we ever had before. I promise you from the bottom of my heart, there is a way out of this. And I know how painful it is, but there is a way out. Let's have a look. We're going to start off by investigating how trauma bonding occurs. If we break up with people who are not toxic, of course it's painful and it's sad, but it doesn't provide those heavy gauge emotional fallout feelings that infects a victim of narcissistic abuse. My heart goes out to you in spades if you're feeling like I'm never going to be happy again, or it's excruciating for me to be around nice events and places and situations that remind me of the good times. The horrific trauma of good time memories with a narcissist is not something other people can understand. Your friends and your family can be really shocked and in disbelief about how hard it is for you to connect to anything nice that by association triggers you about the narcissist. And it's a shock to you as well. The reason that you're compromised in this way is because you're suffering from trauma bonds, and they're not logical things. What it means is that you're still traumatically and energetically connected to the narcissist. And we're going to talk more about this, what that really means. And this is providing horrifically painful emotional feelings. Trauma bonds occur when you become physiologically, you literally do, addicted to intense emotional feelings that somebody has been providing you. And unconsciously, you're craving this person, or you're obsessively ruminating about the painful things that happened in the relationship and about that person, which of course means the narcissist. There are many ties of traumatic feelings with a narcissist, bad and good feelings. And it shocks people that the good feelings are really bad as well as the bad feelings. Narcissists infiltrate your deep being in really perverse ways. And again, a little later, I'm going to explain it in greater detail. But for now, it literally feels like a psychic disease. It feels like some sort of weird spiritual takeover. It's definitely not normal. After breaking up with a narcissist, they don't just live on in your head and your thoughts. They literally feel like they're crawling throughout your insides like a black sticky goo. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. The narcissistic agenda is to be the supreme master of your universe, which means owning your soul. And I had a narcissist that say that to me once really creepily. He said, I want to own your soul. Creepy. So that position for the narcissist is the ultimate food for their false self. And the narcissist's false self, their ego, is their one and only true master that they serve. And they want other people to be the emotional slaves for the narcissist. The narcissist wants your life force to revolve around the narcissist. They don't want you to have your own life force in any way that's separated from them. And us as Non-narcissistic people, we may ask, why bother to do that to people? But it's what? Empty people who are disconnected from source creation and the true power source from creation, well-being, life force. It's what they do. They don't have power. So they want ultimate power over those that they choose to infiltrate, because then they get to steal your energy. It's vampirish. It's what the emptiest of people just do. Please understand that all aspects of the narcissistic infiltration of you, including your devastating anguish when remembering the good times, all of it is because you are in a spiritual battle for your soul. You're in a spiritual battle for your very life force. I'm not being hyperbolic. It's actually the truth. And these painful feelings, including missing the good times, they really don't stop until you succeed at taking your life force back. The narcissist doesn't want you to do that. They never want you to claim your humanity, your joy, your energy, your ability to love again. Because if you don't claim it back, then he or she has won. And to them, their winning means somebody else has to completely lose. They want another soul sucked out, used up, and destroyed, never being any good for anybody else again. That's the cruel dominion goal of the narcissist. It's sick, and it's all about control. And it may even be deeply unconscious for them, but that's what they're seeking to achieve. So not only can you turn around this spiritual war and win, you can also make this the most incredible growth time of your entire life, which is exciting. And as we go through this episode, I hope that you will understand why and have lots of hope that it is possible. So we're just going to unpick this trauma bond about enjoyment. There's 3 stages of it. So we're going to start off with the first stage so you deeply understand what's happened to you. The first stage is the foundational enjoyment, trauma bonding. So we're going to go through the horrific hurt of the good times and why it's playing out for you after breaking up with a narcissist. The narcissist came into your life through a trauma bond to begin with. This person pretended to be the person who would grant you something that you didn't believe you could provide for yourself. Now, much of this was unconscious. So in my example, the narcissist in my life came into me offering me so much excitement and trips and fun and time out and, really lovely things. I was a serious workaholic when I met him. I didn't afford myself much balance or enjoyable things. My friend Jane, she had a really chaotic life. She struggled to have structure. So she wanted fun and time out, but she was always sabotaging herself because her life was in a mess. The narcissist in her life was wealthy. He was supposedly together. And this was a welcome salve to her soul. And both Jane and I, we loved being spoiled in the love bombing stage because these people in our lives, they were providing us with a lifestyle where we felt valued, we felt worth spoiling, and we felt worth the attention. And these were all aspects that we'd never provided ourselves, certainly not healthily anyway. Also for us, there were deeper, more unconscious reasons that the narcissists used to create a feeling of deep connection with us. Narcissists are so good at identifying people's unresolved hurts and pretending to be the person who's going to take the pain away. These are foundational trauma bonds. It's a glue that a narcissist uses you to ensnare you as narcissistic supply. And let me explain them with these examples. For myself, I'd felt unrecognized and untrustworthy. Like I felt like people didn't trust me. And they were always questioning me and micromanaging me and controlling me. That's how I'd felt in previous significant relationships. Whereas when he came into my life, he seemed to grant me so much presence, understanding, trust, and belief in me and space to be myself. And he feigned 100% support for my personal ambitions rather than trying to put them down or sabotage them. Jane, in her previous relationships, had felt judged and ignored. Her deepest wounds were about not being committed to and being treated like a mere object. The narcissist in her life seemed to see her value and seemed to grant his presence attentively and completely. So, this turnaround in our lives seems so powerfully magical and such an intense relief that we fell into deep dependencies of you are my one and only. And without us knowing it, we'd assigned the narcissist a savior status. And we didn't know. And then because we were just such in a height of you are just so amazing and so right for me, absolutely time with these people feels so amazing. But is it because they provide what we can't or don't for ourselves? That kind of attentiveness, those things. And because they bring us the relief of feeling like, oh, finally the pain's gone, being our saviors. Food for thought. This is foundational trauma bonding, and narcissists know how to powerfully do this. They're real experts at it. They are experts at getting us to form emotional dependencies with them. I've had narcissists brag to me in this community about how simple it is to ask questions and act attentive and interested and find out what people have missing in their life or what still hurts them, and simply start purporting to be the solution to those things. And that gets victims to deeply bond with narcissists. Excitement and highs are a part of a flashy narcissistic curriculum anyway. Exciting, amazing things, because this is how they avoid the drab and devastating feelings of being alone with their own inner damaged being. And for us, if we haven't as yet done our own inner recovery work, we love it too. Because being with the narcissist in a fantasy world of it's you and me, babe, against the big bad world, it's a haze of fun, highs, and even crazy experiences. And in this place, the pain of our childhoods and previous relationships, our unhealed, untransformed, unfinished business, the pain of that gets drowned out in the buzz. We don't know it, but we're in a drug-like state of idolizing. The narcissist is using us as a drug, and we're high on the drug as well. And society has taught us this is how love goes. It's all about that high, that buzz, love at first sight. You're my one and only. But it's garbage. It's a lie. This isn't how healthy love goes, I promise you. Real life means reality intervenes. And this is where the second level of trauma bonding starts to kick in as the cracks start happening rapidly. Because whatever is false in real life, it doesn't stand the test of time. So now I'm going to explain to you the withholding trauma bonds. So it's actually a withholding granting trauma bond. The narcissist mask starts to slip and the real disordered self starts to erupt from within them. So you go from being glorified as the newest, shiniest source of narcissistic supply, meaning the magical person that grants the narcissist what they want to live a magical, pain-free world. You're the drug they're taking. You become the person who the narcissist detests for not durably always taking away their pain, which is a complete and utter impossible task. The parts of the narcissist that they refuse to face about their own unresolved painful feelings, they're projected onto you. It's your fault. The way you spoke, the way you looked at them, the idea that you may be doing things now outside of the relationship that isn't about the narcissist. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And you are forbidden and punished harshly for ever challenging the narcissist narrative, which is, I am the king, queen, God of the universe, and totally above reproach, as you will find out. So you ask, where did this magical person go? Where is this being who was so loved up with you, who stared into your eyes with such adoration that you thought your heart would burst all over you both? How could this person who you believed was your one and only accuse you of such disgusting things that you're not capable of thinking, let alone executing, things that defy all definitions of love? And you discover devastatingly that these are the things they are doing themselves. How do you assimilate this? Now you're in deep water. The rug is pulled out from under you. Yet the parts of you that want this person as your answer to life cling on to the evidence. But he or she can be so loving and delightful and adoring. You remember the good times, so you think there's hope. And sometimes these times still happen. However, you're in a cycle of violence now, which means tension builds, then there are explosions that are abusive. You separate from each other emotionally or physically. Then you get back together because you hand more and more of your soul and your boundaries away, trying to stay connected to this person, or they feign apologies and hoover you back in. Usually when you're about to say enough and leave, they pull you back in. And then you make up. And the making up can feel so good. And you're trying your hardest to love and trust this person again because you've projected onto this person your version of who they should be. That's what you want to believe in. And also, too, because you tell yourself good people do forgive. And we do. The problem is the remorse is not real. And the cycle of violence continues. It gets deeper and more painful, and it happens more regularly. And the lack of trust is destroying the very fabric of the relationship, which actually didn't have a solid foundation in the first place. So the good times in this withdrawal phase and then granting, the getting back together phase, it's all about trauma bonding. There's a huge roller coasters of lows and highs. And when you get back together, the high can feel amazing. It's highly addictive as much as any synthetic drug. As was the high that you had of the relief of somebody coming in to be the savior of your life. That's what's addictive. And it can easily be mistaken as twin flame true love, but it's actually destructive abuse as well as self-abuse. If you're really honest with yourself, this is a high of relief akin to taking jagged rocks out of your shoes, and you can start to walk again without being in agony. Your feet never felt so good. It's such a high. So the relief of these times for you is the relief is such a high of you've stopped hurting me and you're loving me again. It's massive relief. But there's cracks in your shoes, and they keep filling up with jagged rocks. Cruelly and horribly now, the narcissist can promise and take it back and renege over and over again. It's like a cat with a mouse now. You are being trained to accept more punishment. You're being tortured and tormented. This is to control your behavior, to withhold from you every time that you're not appeasing the narcissist adequately, meaning serving their false self. In my own life, the narcissist went from trusting, allowing, and validating my independence, which I craved, to hating my passions, breathing down my neck and violently and aggressively controlling my every move with insane, pathological, and dangerous jealousy. That's what happened. Jane's narcissistic partner, initially loving, adoring, and attentive, she initially felt like the only person in the world. He started to run off with other women constantly, whilst accusing Jane of being unfaithful, and it was her fault. So that's what narcissists do to all of us. Without exception, they bait you on what you feel is missing and what you feel you need in your life. Then they switch, delivering exactly the unfinished, unhealed wounds we carry on the inside that they appeared to be saving us from. And we cling to our version of this person as our savior. It's mental, and it's very deep, and it's very much on a soul spiritual level. It's on an inner level this is all going on. So is it any wonder that everything about the narcissist, the good, the bad, the ugly, is traumatizing us? Now let's look at the third and the final stage of missing the good times. So we're going to have a look at the grieving of the enjoyment of the good times, that trauma bond. The flashy narcissistic relationships that started with love bombing, a big bang, they often crash and burn just as dramatically. Or the breakups and the get-togethers are crashing and burning. They're really dramatic. And in these times, you go from floating on cloud nine to being dumped from a great height on your butt, surrounded by rubble everywhere. Devastation, betrayal, deception, abandonment, invalidation, and often grave losses to that, and which was important to you. So it's really likely that you've lost valuable health, resources, reputation, money, property, and most shockingly, you've lost the love that you thought was the love of your life. And maybe you can barely function, and you certainly don't feel like you can reboot your life and get out into life and start opening your heart to enjoyment and experiences and joy again, let alone ever love again. Please know, both Jane and myself and countless people in this community know exactly what this feels like. And I promise you, we thought at certain stages that we would never recover from that. All right, so let's talk about how you win this soul war and how you take your life force back. So let me start off by saying that your true life force, your soul right, source right life force that organically just is, without all of this mess, it is joy. It is celebration of life. It is expansion. It is experiences, and it is love. And please know, I understand that you might feel life years away from that right now. Okay, let's just get clear about this. The narcissist is not your soul keeper and provider of these things. They're a false source and a false self. They're not the real deal at all. And I know deeply it felt like they were, but they're not. It's an illusion. I want to explain what happened to Jane and myself, because we are both super thriving and we have been for years now. And there, I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, we have zero connections to any memories, good or bad, about these previous narcissistic slave masters. They're completely gone. So we realized, fortunately, that we wanted to take a quantum path. I mean, originally I did that, and then I introduced other people to it, including Jane. And knowing that we had to turn inwards to work on ourselves to get free of this. And we had to accept that we hadn't built our own enjoyable lives healthily. We were kind of lonely and sad and empty on our own, and we were waiting for somebody else to provide it. And of course, this was deeply unconscious. We'd been doing that as our normal. And we thought that's just what life is as an adult. Until you have a partner, you're sad and empty and lonely. That's what we thought. We had not healed our past hurts yet. And again, we didn't know. We were actually unconsciously seeking other people to take away the pain instead of being our own inner saviors. The focus on the narcissist when we're in relationship with them and hanging on to the hurt of them and trying to fix and change them and get them to go back to be the original people, all of that was keeping us busy, and it didn't work. And it was keeping us from turning inwards to face and heal our own painful feelings of not feeling good enough or worthy enough to be loved. Our unhealed business from when we were really little. And we didn't know until quantum healing that it was even possible to heal those hurts directly and quickly to free ourselves from them. So when we knew and accepted that this was the mission, was to make it all about healing ourselves, we started the good and the true fight, this spiritual battle. We entered it the right way of turning inwards to detox all of the pain and the hurt and the confusion, literally detoxing these emotional vampires out of our system and building ourselves back in ways that we never had before. Jane and I had the mission and really stepped up to the plate that we were going to become whole adults in our own bodies. So we would never again hand our power away and our life force to be dependent on anybody to create our own amazing lives. So after enough quantum freedom healings, which allowed us to quickly and powerfully shift out of those old selves into our true selves, we did it with the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program healings. We were able to release the trauma generating CPTSD, rumination, agoraphobia, all the other nasties, anxiety, depression, the list goes on and on and on. We were able to let go of our internal trauma that was generating those states, which it all comes from trapped internal trauma and false belief systems and painful beliefs about ourselves. It makes us sick. We let it go. We created space. We brought in the source light replacement, which every quantum freedom healing does. And we started to feel life force arise, our true self activate within us in ways that we never had before, even way before the narcissist in our life. So for the first time in our lives, we were starting to understand what it is to feel whole on the inside. That's our natural state without trauma. I promise you, it is. So Jane and I we did things in our life we'd never done. We were able to become self-generative. We started our own businesses. Jane, I was so lucky. I just shared what had healed and saved my life. I had no idea it was going to become a business. And Jane connected to her passion of what she wanted to do, which was healing others through art, and became successful at it. It's her dharma, like this is my dharma. Jane also cleaned up her traumas, which were causing her to disassociate out of her own being, which was her disorganization, was all of her disassociation. And in her body, anchored in, she got really good at applying herself to things and focusing and structuring her life and her finances. I lost the addiction to overworking because that had been one of my traumas. I'm only worthy if I'm achieving. That's how I will earn love, is by ticking off a 100-point to-do list. It was all generated from unhealed internal trauma. And when I lost those traumas, I was able to take time out and do beautiful things in my life. So I could create balance and enjoyment. And Jane and I, we made it our mission to expand into life, to get out of fear and pain and live. We both did solo travel overseas. Neither of us were ever again in the position of subconsciously needing somebody to give us emotional health. We became ready to share our lives with authentic people who were not parasitical narcissists, that we're not taking as a drug and they're not taking us as a drug. We developed boundaries, the ability to be honest and speak up. And we stopped trying to fix and change people so that they would love us. And that's when people will start loving you for real in really healthy ways. It's about the development. It's about the inner work. It's about the healing. There is no, and it doesn't take decades or years. The big shifts can happen within weeks and months. It's very fast and direct. There is no way myself and Jane could have reached these levels of living so authentically if we hadn't been slammed to the floor by narcissists and know that we needed to heal. I saw the expression early this morning. I think it was really beautiful that the people who have the capacity for the most light are thrown into the deepest darkness. And that's what happened to myself and Jane, and really all of us, is if that hadn't happened to us, we wouldn't have had the opportunity, the need to come home, to reconnect and get back to the light. I feel so grateful for that, because I never would have done it. I would have just kept living my reduced life, which was my normal, which is nothing like this Thriver life. So Jane and I, being in excruciating, crippling inner rumination, longing, not being able to do anything nice without just the anguish of the missing the narcissist and the good times. And we were there, and it sucks your life force out. And when you're not functioning and life cannot go on as normal, that is a total indication you need to heal. And we're not meant to live like this. We're not. And remember how I started off by saying at the start of this episode, not only can you turn this around and win, you can also make this the most incredible growth time of your entire life. It's true. And I hope you understand why. And I hope you understand why, in regard to the trauma bonding, you have been trauma bonded. So I hope it's made sense. If you are ready to take the passage of winning this spiritual war for good, taking your soul, your life force back, having the best revenge. Actually, the best revenge is when you don't even need revenge. You're just so excited and inspired and expanded in your new life. That's when you win. Then I'd love you to come with me, Jane, and thousands of us from all over the world who do the quantum inner work. And you can do that and become a part of our community in the back end, in our private section, by becoming a Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program member. And I'll put up the link with this video. You so deserve to be out of the agony of missing the narcissist. It's so common. It's soul-sucking. It's horrible. My heart goes out to you. It's crippling. And plus, we all deserve to be living our true life. And your true life is the only life that is ever going to truly gratify you. And it awaits you once you lose your trauma and up level. So, yeah, check out NARP, research it, read all about it. All right, so before I go, if you like my video, I'd love to remind you to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share with others who've been diminished through abuse and who are stuck and spinning their wheels. so that you can grant them information about how they can heal for real from this, because we can. And I can't wait to help you recover and thrive for real on the inside if you choose to become a NART member. All right. So until the next one, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving, because there isn't anything else to do. Lots of love. Bye bye.